Hi, this is Wayne here with Tri-County Locksmith Service, and today I'm going to be going over the basics of knife sharpening. We took a buck knife like this, and we gave it a better than factory edge right out of the box. And this video is going to be posted to a bunch of different sharpening applications that I'm going to be doing in the future. So if you've already seen this part, go ahead and fast forward to the next part of the video to get that individual. But this is going to be the basics upon all the knife sharpening that we're going to be doing. The first thing that we need to go over is having, when this knife came out of the box, it had a single edge. It's probably about 20 to 25 degrees on either side, giving it about a 40 to 50 degree angle total. That's this here. That means that it has one angle and it goes directly from the knife edge, the blade, to the edge. What I like to do to get this sharper is put this dual edge on here. And we do that by first making the back cut. The back cut really takes a bunch of material away and then really allows you to get at that edge and put the stronger 20 degree edge back on the very tip. So what we're talking about with the back cut is the main part here, taking away most of the material, and then that dual edge is just going to be the very, very tip that really interacts with everything, giving it that 20 to 25 degrees again, but giving it to it up here. And then when we go to sharpen it again, you have plenty of room to move and to bring that edge down. When you get it out of the factory, it just isn't going to have that. So we can explain that a little bit more by looking at this razor blade. And this razor blade is a great way to kind of show exactly what I'm trying to do here. So if you look at the razor blade, you'll see that there are two separate edges on here, and we can roll it down that way to really see it. And this would be the back cut here, and then this would be the main edge up here. And this is what we're after. This is what we're trying to mimic. If you're going to try and improve something, you might as well improve it with the best. And everything is referred to as razor sharp. Well, there's a reason for that. It has to have a thin edge to be able to split and cut through things, but it also has to have that secondary bevel to be able to toughen it up so it's not just ruined instantly. That's what that secondary bevel does, is it toughens it up and makes it a little bit, well, quite a bit stronger. And you can see based on this right here, what I'm trying to talk about is this would be a single edge. We can look at it over here too. This would be your single edge. And you can see it's just one edge that goes directly from the body to the tip. This would be our double bevel edge right here. This has the main back cut with about a 13 to 15 degree angle, and then we come back and we put that 20 to 25 degree. We could even go 30 degree, whatever you like for this main edge here, and that's really going to give this the strength and rigidity to hold up to the abuse. And then when we come back in and we sharpen this again, we're not going to have all this thickness, this giant thickness right here to deal with. We're going to be right back to getting on that edge and getting there and polishing it. Now if we just left it without coming in and putting the secondary edge on here, then you would have this, and it's just too thin and too fragile. So if you try and use this to cut on something, it's going to damage that edge pretty quickly, whereas this one's going to hold up to it much, much better. These are the main basics that I'm talking about with this stuff. As far as what you want to use, I've made my own little custom machine for knife sharpening, based off of some other designs that I've seen, and kind of made my own. I use stones. I use the India stones for polishing. I use the Arkansas stone for the beginning of polishing and material removal, and then we use these oil stones here to really take some of the heavier duty material off of there. You can use sandpaper, and I do too. This is what I use when I really, really want to get a nice, even, controlled edge. We'll start out with a 320 like this, Then we'll go to the 600 like this, and we'll go to the 1200, and we'll go to the 2000. And that's about as far as I'm going to go with it, is the 2000. And then we go on to the polishing machine. You can get your knife razor sharp with this 2000 grit paper. I knocked a ounce off the weight that it took to sharpen this knife. And what I mean by that is, you took a string, you wrap the string around the blade, and then you hang weights on it until it breaks. And this knife out of the package was about a 5. By the time we got done with it, with this secondary edge, it was at a 4. So we lost an entire ounce of weight, which is pretty much, you know, what that razor is. That's really the way you really tell how sharp something is by adding weight to force an object through it. Then you're going to be able to get a scientific answer as to how much force it takes to pull that through there, rather than just cutting paper. Cutting paper doesn't tell you anything about anything. It tells you if it's fairly sharp, and then that's about it. So these are going to be the basics. This is what we're going to be going over. We're going to be using these tactics on all of our sharpening videos. So check it out, pay attention. I hope it helps out, and it'll really make your knife sharpening experience so much easier if we can get rid of that main amount of material, get that acute edge, and then come back and start working on the main edge. That's just going to save you guys a ton of time and a ton of money, trying different things. Just going over different sharpening materials. Oil stones, I like. India stone, Arkansas stone, and these are just Norton stones. They're about 20 bucks a piece. You can get a clear Arkansas stone, that's about 80 bucks a piece. That's kind of an introductory way to do it. On the cheap, and really producing some of the best edges that I've been able to do, is sandpaper. I mean, it is unbelievable. Each one of these comes in a giant pack like this, and you can get this at your local hardware store. 2,000, 1,200, 600, and 320. That's just a good number to start at, and it just creates such a nice edge. It's easy to work with. It uses a silicon carbide as the abrasive, which is super hard. So unless you're sharpening a ceramic knife, this stuff's going to work great on any blade. I highly recommend using the sandpaper with a block of wood. It's going to produce some of the nicest edges you've had, and you'll really be surprised on how long it lasts. This is designed, you can wash this off. This is designed to be wet paper too, and you just simply wash the material off when you're done, and it flushes out all the metal that's in there, and you can use it 2, 3, 4 times without it wearing out. And this stuff is $5 a piece. So for 20 bucks, you can get all the different grits that you need to be able to really start putting fine quality edges on your knives and your cutlery. It's going to work on everything from kitchen knives, fillet knives, pocket knives, everything. Using that system, we can actually put a razor edge on a razor better than factory, just with sandpaper. So that's a great cheap way to get started and get involved with it. Of course, there's diamond stones. Diamond stones are great. They last a long time. They're just really expensive. I have one for my kit, but I don't use it that much simply because it's only one. If I had the full set, I would use it more, but I don't right now. Water stones are great. Water stones don't last as long, and they require a little bit more maintenance because the aggregate that holds them together is actually designed to stick together less than these oil stones. That's kind of the difference between an oil stone and some of the water stones, is the aggregate is designed to break apart more on a water stone, so you get that fresh sharp edge of the abrasive cutting each time you do that. But you also have to flatten your stones back out, and they're a little expensive to get into too. $30 to $80 per stone, and you can go from 6 to 8 stones. You can go all the way to a 10,000 grit stone. So water stones are really nice if you really want to do some polishing. maybe you've got some really fancy show pieces, show knives, swords, things like that. It might be worth investing in that waterstone and really being able to put the polish on there to where you can see everything as a mirror polish on that edge. Ceramic stones are good. They're pretty cheap too, about $10 to $50, just depending on what you get. I've got a couple of those for doing serrated knives. They work on just about everything. You can usually get those in a coarse, medium, fine, and extra fine as well, and they seem to last a really long time. So that's what's really nice about those. The carbide V sharpeners, just don't even waste your time or money. It's not going to do you any good. It's going to scar the blade, and it's really going to kind of ruin the knife. If it's super, super dull, it'll make it seem like it's sharper, probably make it a little bit sharper, but they're really not a good idea. So this is the basics. Check it out. I hope this helps some people out. And it really took putting it out and laying it out like this for me to understand how to sharpen the knife and be able to put these razor sharp edges on in just a few minutes, as opposed to sharpening for hours before and not being able to accomplish the same goal. So edge, abrasive, and double bevel angle, and it'll make a perfect edge every time. For more information, go to www.tricountylocksmithservice.com. Thank you. Alright, so here we got our Schrade skidding knife. You can see it's got some pits and some bevels in this edge right here. And it's got a couple different sharpening angle degrees, things like that. Got a little bit of a bevel rolled over on one side here. So what we want to do is get a control and see kind of where this is at right here, and then we'll go from there to see how much the sharpening improves it. This weight is going to be added to this string until we come up with a number, 1 ounce weights, and then we're going to move to 1/2 ounce. So this is 3, this is 4, 5, 6 and a half, 7 and a half, 8 and a half, 9 and a half, 10 and a half, 11 and a half, and we're just about out of weight. I haven't even had one hold that much before. So let's see, we got little 1/4 ounce ones. Quarter, 12, 13. So you're right at about 13 ounces on this one before that thing actually gave way. Schrade. So we're going to go ahead and take these notes, make a note of it, and then sharpen the knives, and come back and come up with a new reading. And we'll see how well. Alright, we got our 40 grit paper on there, and we're going to go ahead and start taking this main bevel down. One of the ways we can really see what we're doing is by taking a Sharpie on here on both sides, just like we did the piece of wood you saw earlier, and we'll be able to see how we're actually bringing that blade down. Okay, so we can see where that black mark was and how much we've moved that edge up. And we'll see it on this side too. See if we start to get the bevel over there. Not quite yet. There's our black mark here. You can see that we've got that where we've really taken that off of there. I'm not getting the bevel on this side just yet, so we'll do a little bit more. So to remove this much material, you can imagine how long that would take by hand. That would just take hours and hours and hours to do. It doesn't matter what kind of sharpening system you have, or diamonds or stones or anything. To remove that much material to get started over again is just going to take a long time. So that's all this is really for. And again, we're doing that and this blade is not getting hot. That's something you want to use the large grit paper for. When the blade's not getting hot, we're not using an angle grinder, we're not spinning this too fast. We're just keeping it to where we can take the most material off, keep the blade cool, and not ruin the heat tempering. Here we are with our skinning knife, our old timer. We're going to be using the 220 grit sandpaper, and that's already loaded up on here, and basically we're just going to come right in here and just touch up what we did earlier with that heavier duty paper. That's all we're really doing here. So now you can see how that's cleaned up over the other heavy duty grit. That, and then we'll make sure we do it on this side because we can feel that bevel over here. You can actually get that camera nice and close here and you can kind of see and watch as we do it. There we go. Just like that. Notice we're not taking near as much material off. This is just simply to polish what we've already done. And you'll get something that looks kind of like that. And we'll go ahead and move on to the hand polishing stage. I'm here with Gigantic Locksmith Service. I'm here with the old timer skinning knife. We've got most of the meat cut back on it. We're just going to put that secondary edge. We'll start off with that 320 paper. Just kind of get that in there. Start seeing where this thing's going to come together. Nice, smooth, easy strokes. Really start putting a nice edge on this thing. Just doing one side at a time, and alternating. We're going to get rid of that. We'll go to the 600 grits. Pop that on there. nicely. 1200. Mohawk things. Just that extra metal fragments coming off of here. So it doesn't get sticking to it. You can kind of feel it when it all becomes uniform once you do this a couple times. You can almost tell instantly as soon as everything's looking real good on there. 2000. And that should be very, very sharp. Check this out. Let's check out this little cool mohawk that we got going on here. That's kind of neat and interesting. I haven't really seen that before. And this little dab of whatever it is on there. And that is definitely razor sharp again, ready to go. Get that right off of there. This can go on the polishing wheel, and it will definitely polish up nice. It'll take care of the rest of that edge and definitely be nice and sharp. Alright, we got our Schrade old timer here, and we'll just begin to add weight and see how sharp. We got this little skinner right here. So we'll 4. So that's quite a bit sharper than it was, and that's really the only way to measure that is roll a string and make that your consistent, and then just add 1 ounce weights or ½ ounce weights or whatever, however whatever increments you want to go. I have 1 ounce, and then I have ½ ounce, and then I have 1/4 ounce weights. So that's just my method of testing.